This is your Weather Extreme video for Saturday, October the 18th. I'm meteorologist Brian Peters. Thanks for tuning in. There's a look at the Trussville Skycam early this morning, and we have a beautiful sunrise shot as a dry cold front was making its way through central Alabama. The surface pattern features a large high pressure over the eastern half of the country, bisecting a front that moves across the southeast today, but the front will move through the area dry with a lack of any moisture around. In the upper atmosphere, we see a pretty substantial trough over the eastern half of the country that is going to usher in some cooler air for us. We had highs in the lower and mid-80s for the most part yesterday, and we'll probably not get out of the 70s today. Temperatures this morning starting out generally in the 50s across the area, a little bit cooler in the northeast where Fort Payne was in the upper 40s. Cooler air is bringing some frost advisories to some of the Ohio Valley area for Sunday morning. And on the QPF, that pretty much tells you the story for the next 5 days, and actually it could be for the rest of October, and that is it's going to be dry. Tropics remain somewhat active. We have Gonzalo, which is past Bermuda and is moving out into the Atlantic. There's a little bit closer view, and the forecast track is forecast to take the storm and in a weakening state as it continues to be a hurricane and gives a glancing blow to the Canadian Maritimes before moving out into the North Atlantic and becoming tropical storm, a post-tropical storm. And on the Mexican coast, we have Tropical Storm Trudy that is weakening rapidly as it moves ashore. All right, here's the 06Z GFS model run, and there's our surface high pressure over the centered basically over about Iowa, and that will be settling in over the eastern half of the country, and we can see by Sunday the high settling down into the Ohio River Valley, and that will be bringing us some cooler air with some temperatures down into the 40s once again, and that means some of those cooler spots might actually see the upper 30s for lows on Sunday morning. So by Sunday, the upper air pattern, we see that trough that has brought the cold front through the area moving off the mid-Atlantic states. And the upper air pattern by Monday, we see another trough dropping in. So the pattern remaining very active, but we're staying dry thanks to the dry atmosphere. And so the high moves off into the Atlantic as we see a little bit of moisture coming through the Great Lakes and down into the Ohio River Valley, but that moisture not enough to reach our area. That low deepens across the troughiness deepens across the eastern half of the country on Tuesday, and by Wednesday we actually see that the GFS is suggesting it's going to close off over the mid-Atlantic states, but we're on the dry side of it with the ridge just to our west, so we stay on the dry side, and we stay dry out through Thursday as the closed low meanders along the mid-Atlantic states. We get sort of a convoluted pattern by Thursday, though, with another closed low coming through the flow. But again, with high pressure to our north, we're going to stay dry. By Friday, the closed low is beginning to push off a little bit as that additional trough comes in from the west. So by Saturday, the troughiness is over the eastern half of the country in the southeastern U.S., but the closed low has moved off into the Canadian Maritime provinces, and so we should see dry weather. Looking out into Voodoo country, staying dry. It looks like we stay dry for the end of October into week 2, and we see a broad ridge over the southern tier of the United States with much of the westerlies a little bit further north around Wednesday the 29th, and then we get out to the 2nd of November. We see this broad ridge still in place, but we do see a bit of a trough coming in through the Four Corners area, and that might be our next weather maker in way of producing any kind of significant precipitation. So it could be early November before we see any additional rain in central Alabama. Well, that'll do it for the Weather Extreme video for this Saturday. I'll have the next one posted first thing on Sunday morning by 8 a.m. or so. In the meantime, stay tuned to the blog for later updates and additional information. I'm meteorologist Brian Peters. Have a great Saturday and Godspeed.